Hey, it's going to be a Smackdown review for the 29th of May. This wasn't the best episode of Smackdown since the results of the draft have been in full effect. In fact, of those 5 or 6, excellent shows, this was probably the weakest. But it was still very good. I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good show. There's just, something about the Smackdown brand which is good to watch, just really entertaining. I think the explanation behind this particular show goes back to something Bobby said a few weeks ago in his Smackdown review. He was talking about how he was talking about the Dolph Ziggler Great Khali feud, and he was saying, I may not necessarily want to see Dolph Ziggler feud with the Great Khali, but I'm glad they're doing it because it shows that the people, the writers backstage actually care about these people, that they're actually thinking of how to use them, they're trying to make them relevant, they're trying to put them in feuds and angles. And the SmackDown writers may not necessarily be happy with the fact that they have, Mike Knox, the Great Khali, Layla, Eve Torres, Alicia Fox, who are all terrible, but they're trying to use them, and I'm all for that. I wish they'd use Jimmy Wang Yang at the same time, but I'm still all for this. So yeah, I think that's roughly what the show was about. Also, we had some good matches, as we always do on SmackDown. Anyway, we start off with a Rey Mysterio promo. Thing I like about this is that Rey Mysterio is the Intercontinental Champion, and he's getting the opening promo slot, which shows, SmackDown is not just all about the world title, not just all about the main event, other things matter on SmackDown. The bad thing, of course, about Rey Mysterio doing a promo is that he's not very good at promo. I actually find him kind of irritating. I totally understand why he gets mic time, he deserves it for his in-ring performance. He used to be the face, or more accurately, as Bobby pointed out, the mask of SmackDown. And also he speaks Spanish, and there's a large Hispanic audience. I get all that, but he is a bit irritating for me. Anyway, he talks about his match with Jericho at Extreme Rules. He talks about how some people are questioning him for making it a no-holds-barred match. But he says he thinks it's going to be off the hook because he can do whatever he wants to Jericho and finally shut him up for good. This brings Jericho out. Jericho says, he delivers a wonderful promo here. This is just brilliant. I love all of Jericho's promos. I thought this one was particularly good. He says, you think it's going to be off the hook? Do you think it's going to be off the hook when I when I batter your head in with the steel chair, giving you permanent brain damage? Do you think it's going to be off the hook when I disfigure your face with the Intercontinental title belt? It was just, the language was just so, marvelously gruesome. I just loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah. Then Rey Mysterio cuts him off. He makes a very valid point. He says, Jericho, don't you realize your words mean nothing? You've made all these promises before and you've never delivered. You said I wasn't going to deliver the 619 at Judgment Day, and I did. You said you were going to punch out Mickey Rourke at WrestleMania, and he knocked you flat. At which point Jericho spots Mickey Rourke in the audience and, goes off on a tangent insulting him. Comes back to Rey Mysterio. He says, why do you wear a mask? Only cowards and liars, etc., wear masks. Why is this match at Extreme Rules not a mask versus something match? A mask versus suit, perhaps, I don't know. Because, that's just the way they've booked the angle. It makes perfectly sense for that to be the premise of the match. Either way, anyway, Jericho promises to take Mysterio's mask off at Extreme Rules. They brawl for a bit. Ray goes to hit the 619 and Jericho escaped. Then we have the Great Khali and R-Truth versus Mike Knox and Dolph Ziggler. Here's an example, of course, of a match that I was talking about earlier where they're just using the guys you never see used. It's not a good match, to be honest. It's never going to be. The Great Khali is rubbish. Mike Knox is rubbish. R-Truth raps on the way to the ring, and the Great Khali's walking and dancing beside him. It's all very embarrassing. And R-Truth gets him to say, what's up? And the Great Khali goes, what's up? Oh dear. The match is at its best when R-Truth and Ziggler are in the ring together. Great Khali takes about an hour to climb over the top rope when he gets tagged in. Mike Knox has already reached him and is attacking him by the time he gets tagged in. By the time Khali gets over the ropes. Khali has actually got worse in the ring. I swear, he is awful. He was always really bad, but he's even worse. It's just so sloppy. How can a man so big make everything look like it doesn't hurt? He just did all his chops and kicks as usual. Ziggler doesn't want any part of Khali until the end, where he tries to get a cheap shot off the top rope, and then scurries away when Callie catches him. Knox gets Punjabi plunge for the win. After the match, R-Truth and Great Khali do some horrible dancing. I think this match shows how much the people backstage like Dolph Ziggler, because surely he's going to get the pin here, get pinned here, but they actually had Mike Knox get pinned, which is fair enough. Then we had Melina versus Alicia Fox. This match was terrible. Alicia Fox is terrible. Melina is average for me. You know, I think she's good when she's up against a talented opponent, and she's bad when she's up against, you know, someone she has to carry, and Alicia Fox is someone you have to carry. I just worry when I watch Melina. All her offense looks impressive, but does it really hurt? The only offense Alicia Fox gets in this match is when Michelle McCool provides the distraction. Alicia Fox delivers the world's worst backbreaker. It was absolutely atrocious. The crowd didn't even react to it. It was just, she just placed her on her knee. It was terrible. Melina wins with a sort of axe kick split thing. You know, she puts her leg on top of their chin and just drives it down in the splits. And yeah, that was that. Load of shit. Then we had Josh Matthews interviewing John Morrison. John Morrison, I think, is pretty decent on the mic, actually. He's not terrible. I have thought he's terrible in the past, but he is pretty decent. But he is a heel. You know, his persona is heelish. There's nothing face about it. Josh Matthews asks him how he's going to deal with Umaga today, and he responds, "Josh, Umaga is a moron," which I found really funny. Then Shelton Benjamin shows up, and Shelton Benjamin is so bad at promo, I actually feel sorry for him while I watch him. He just makes everything look so awkward. It's embarrassing. But yeah, Morrison actually gets a bit personal with Benjamin here. You know, I liked this, but then I didn't like it as well because it was too close to being true. Shelton Benjamin, for a start, just says that him and John Morrison have unfinished business, which I was happy about because I want this feud to continue. But then Morrison says to him, in the real world, I just beat you all the time. In the real world, you're part of the world's most forgotten tag team, and in the real world, you haven't done anything around here since 2004. And I was like, shut up, Morrison. That's true. Don't point that out. But yeah. So yeah, at least that feud's still going, but I thought Shelton looked pretty weak because of that. Then we had a Jeff Hardy promo, not my favourite part of any show. Can't really remember what he says. Just says he's going to win the ladder match. It's a rubbish promo, right? JR after it describes it as Jeff Hardy looking a bit distant and disconnected, and he says it's because Jeff Hardy's thinking about the ladder match. He's so concentrated on that. No, it's just because he's terrible at promo that he looks disconnected. Then we had Umaga versus John Morrison. This was a very good match. You know, it didn't have a clean ending or anything, but I don't necessarily mind that in all situations. No one ended up looking particularly weak from this. Todd Grisham just tries to explain the rules to a strap match, and he explains them thus. You touch all four corners in succession. That's it. No, you're forgetting the key ingredient, which is that you're dragging a man the whole time you're touching the corners. Anyway, this is pretty good. Umaga dominates throughout, which, you know, is fair enough. You know, he is supposed to be a dominant heel. I don't really have a problem with that. Morrison gets some offense in. I felt Umaga no-sold the knee to the face thing, which I think is a really good move. So I wasn't too happy about that. But, you know, fair enough. He only did a 1 count off that. Umaga did the most beautiful Samoan drop. Morrison ran towards him. He threw him up in the air, caught him on his back, and hit the Samoan drop. It was perfect. It was just immaculate. I loved it. It was so high impact. Great. Umaga also hit the thrust kick off the apron on Morrison, who went to the outside. Morrison came back. It was mainly Umaga dominating. They pointed out the fundamental flaw in Umaga's character, which is that, you know, he does technical wrestling. There is method to his supposed madness. And actually, probably my favourite part in this match was when at the start when Morrison went, "Oh, I forgot, you talk now," which I found pretty hilarious. At the end of the match, Morrison does his springboard kick, which is a great move. Umaga rolls to the outside, and Morrison follows him, and Umaga hits him with the strap, and I will continue this in part 2.